Good tidings. Greetings to you all. Welcome to episode 96 of the Cinema 9 podcast. I'm Michael Govia. That's Travis Roy. And there's Eric Brancham looking over a fine bottle of something. Live and uncensored on the internet, our YouTube channel, Cinema 9 Pod. YouTube.com/Cinema 9 Pod. You can go there and find us. Find all of our old episodes. It'll be great. Today's episode will focus on the Ladykillers, 2004 film, directed by the Coen brothers, a Coen brothers operation. We'll get to that later in the show for our Does It Hold Up or Not segment. Travis, it is now February, and the Oscar noms have been released. Are you excited? We all know you love the Oscars more than most people.
Yeah, I'm excited. Not as excited as Eric is for that tall glass of balsamic vinegar he just poured for himself. No, I'm definitely stoked-ish. I mean, I wasn't really surprised by many of the announcements. There's a few snubs. I am of course disappointed that Nicolas Cage and Pig neither was nominated for Best Actor nor Best Film, which I was holding out a hope, maybe Best Actor at least. I thought that'd be nice, or even original screenplay. I thought maybe would there be a chance. Give it the love it deserves. I mean, people are. I'm getting big First Reform vibes this year personally, but yeah, there's some good stuff in there. And then of course a few we haven't seen. Mike, have you seen Licorice Pizza yet?
Yes, let's have it.
No, I would have said something.
Yeah.
It would have been the first thing I mentioned to you. There were opportunities, I suppose. So, oh well.
Eric, how you doing, buddy?
I'm a failure.
Yeah, well.
I'd be okay if my buddy Aaron Sorkin would have got the nomination for Best Original Screenplay. This is out of control. That script was fucking fantastic.
There's some upsets, man. There's some real upsets this year. I mean, there always is. Can't nominate everybody for everything. I mean, in all fairness, I do think that I'm glad that Being the Ricardos was nominated for Best Picture. Sorkin gets nominated almost every movie that he writes. He could sit one out.
I guess. That's the whole thing about the Oscars. It's like, we just did it. It's like, who cares? It's about the product.
This is true.
Think of this shit. But, yeah.
Good point.
I haven't seen any of these fucking movies. I've got no horse in this race.
Travis, did you want to give us your top 5 movies this year?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I will. We talked a little bit. I know that you guys, Eric in particular, you said you saw 2 good movies this year, so you couldn't come up with the list.
No.
I mean, if I were nominated, a few movies that I would have nominated, I would have had Pig, of course, as I said on there. Being the Ricardos, I'm glad that was nominated. I think that should have been nominated. It deserves to be nominated. I think that Tick, Tick, Boom should have been nominated. I'm surprised that it wasn't. I think it was an easy contender. I think that Green Knight was locked out. I think it should have been nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay. It should have been nominated for Best Cinematography, Best Director. I wouldn't have mind seeing it nominated for Best Picture. And having watched it this past week with the expectation that it would get nominated, I absolutely would put Coda on that list too.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what a lot of that means. I know what some of that means.
Do you like movies?
What is Coda?
I do. Yeah, what is Coda?
You guys haven't heard of Coda? This
No.
movie's been getting so much buzz. It's really interesting to me because it's an Apple movie that came out, God, like November. Got all kinds of rats in the wires.
Sorry.
It's a movie that came out like a while ago, and I remember hearing some buzz about it even then, and just kept on hearing more and more about it. What CODA stands for is Children of Deaf Adults, and it's a remake, but it's a really beautiful movie about the one hearing person in a family who she falls in love with the act of singing and wants to get into singing, and it's definitely a great family movie, and I really, really enjoyed it. And I was happy to see it get the attention that I think it deserves.
Oh, okay. See, I am not familiar with that whatsoever. So something to look forward to in the future.
Yeah.
Is there going to be a movie every year about hearing now? That's cool. Last year we had another nominee with.
It's only 2 in a row. Let's check in next year. See if there's 3.
Okay, fair enough.
Right? Yeah, I get your point.
So there it is. That's Travis's 5 top choices of 2021-ish. Yeah. Either way, I will I join you on Pig, and I bet there was something else this year that I saw. I just can't really. I didn't see some of the big tent poles. I thought Tick Tick Boom was great too. We've covered this. So
Mm-hmm.
if you listen to our show, you kind of know some of our favorites of what we enjoyed this year. And Eric Brancham has also revealed his top 5 over the last few episodes. So if you want to go back and check those out, please do. Please do. Our guest. Didn't you? I think you did.
No. I like Being the Ricardos, Tick Tick Boom, Old Henry, and Pig. That's about it as far as like movies that I loved this year. Mm-hmm. I saw a lot of like some that I was totally entertained by, but like these heavy hitters in these Oscar categories, I want to see, but with the telecast coming at the end of March, where come on, who gives a fuck by that point? Like we're literally in like the second quarter of the year of the new year. So, and they're not streaming until like March 2nd and stuff. Like I really want to see West Side Story, Licorice Pizza, man. Yeah. I want to see all these, but like I gotta wait.
Well, in fairness, I would say that compared to most Oscars, I mean, granted, the date that it's airing is later than usual, but for this point, we have access to way more movies than usual. I mean, it's really just West Side Story, Licorice Pizza, and I guess one or two others that aren't available. But I mean, Spencer went on Hulu today. You can Eyes of Time has been available for a while. Coda's been available for a while. A bunch of stuff has been. Netflix was nominated for a ton of stuff.
Spencer for Hire?
Nope.
Robert Ulrich?
No.
He died.
Kristen Stewart was nominated for playing what's her name, Princess Diana.
Who the hell is Spencer?
That's Spencer.
Why do they call this?
That's what it means.
Who is Spencer?
Diana Spencer. Diana Spencer.
Oh, I had no idea.
I didn't catch that until I realized what Spencer was about out loud. But if I saw the trailer, it'd make a lot more sense. And I did see the trailer. Also wanted to see that one. Didn't see it.
Yeah.
Boy, that's too bad. There's this new trailer that keeps showing up on my YouTube. They're really trying to shove it down my throat for this Ted Kaczynski movie with this guy I've never heard of. Yeah, they're really trying to. They're trying to make it look hardcore, like this is a legit Unabomber biopic, if you will. I guess he gets a biopic, historical drama retelling. I'm like, who the fuck is this guy playing him? I have no idea who he is, and I'm still baffled. Is like this one of those weird movies about a legitimate, serious topic that's really low budget, that's done by people who just wanted to make this a reality? I'm confused. I'm still confused, but yeah. Hey, doesn't mean I have to know the truth. Yeah, very confused. So, at any rate, this is Cinema Night Podcast, and we usually offer you our quarantine viewing picks. It's time for suggestions, offerings, musings on things we've watched recently. Travis Roy, what has been in front of your eyes recently?
Well, as I said, I watched Coda, and I'm definitely going to make that one of my main recommendations for the week, if not my top recommendation. I do the same thing every year where I don't really watch a lot of documentaries throughout the year. Then the Oscars start coming. I'm like, I better start watching these documentaries. So I checked out Summer of Soul, since that seems to be the front runner. What an interesting film. At the same summer that Woodstock was happening, this other huge event happening in Harlem that's largely been disregarded from history. Definitely worth checking out. I did feel like it kind of maybe got a tick long, but it was good. I can see why it's a contender. What else did I watch? I watched Weathering with You. I checked in on this anime. I forget the guy's name, but it's widely regarded recent anime, or somewhat recent, 2019. It was good. I guess it was a little cheesy, but that's okay. Kind of, that's on the menu when you're getting anime, I guess. Checked in with Nick Cage, Stolen. This is he reunited. Yeah, he reunited with Simon West, who did Con Air, and together they churned out this crap. It was
Con Air got shit.
It was so just like the most like 5 out of 10 stars ever. Just like, wow, who cares? Whole bunch of who cares on that one. Continue my Jennifer Aniston run with Friends with Money from 2006. She plays like a late 30s, early 40s person in a group of friends. She's the only one that doesn't have a spouse or any money, and she's a pothead. And I'm like, they made a movie about me. So that was cool. I did enjoy it though. What's her name? Holofcener. Nicole Holofcener. She one of her earlier pictures. Pretty good. I watched some. I kind of made it movie week with my students, so I in a few different history classes, I kind of watched some older stuff, which included Invasion of the Body Snatchers from 1956. I'd never seen this before. I loved it. It was great. I mean, it was genuinely still really fucking good. I was like, damn, way to go, R.J. Fletcher.
Yeah, R.J.
Whatever his real name is, I bet you know. Do you know?
Kevin McCarthy.
Yeah, Kevin McCarthy. I knew. Yeah.
Hey, RJ.
I watched Good Night and Good Luck with my students. They were amused at best. They were not into that one. I guess I can't really blame them. A bit of a dry film. With my government class, I'd seen it before, but it'd been since a long time. I watched the original 12 Angry Men. My God, just fucking masterpiece. I mean, it's just a masterpiece. And these 10th graders, they loved it. They ate it up. They really did. They loved it. I'm like, yes, score.
Sydney a little mad, baby.
Yeah. Revisited Valkyrie from 2008. It's all right. Still pretty good. Still pretty tense.
Tom Cruise.
Yeah. And last but not least, I'd like to touch on a TV series I checked in with. Getting a
Mayday
lot.
Disasters?
Nope, that's all you, Magoo. I've not been watching the plane crash series, although some would argue that that's exactly what I've been watching. Because what I'm going to champion right now has been getting just absolutely lambasted by fans, by haters. I mean, it's just getting bombed everywhere. Everyone seems to hate, and just like that, the reboot for Sex and the City.
Jesus.
Which, yeah, okay, if it's not for you, then it's not for you. But Mike, you remember when I lived with you, I was watching Sex and the City. I was a fan of the show then, and if you're a fan of that show, if you were a fan of that show then, I see no reason why you wouldn't be a fan of this now. And again, if like that doesn't appeal to you, then just don't even check in. But I'm seeing a lot of hate from people that like the original show. They're like, this is so cringy. I'm like, did you see the original?
What's different?
Right. It was cringy too, but it is a TV series dealing with women in their early mid 50s, and talking about menopause and trying to adjust to like their trans kids, and like trying to like adjust to this world, and trying to deal with widowhood and all this kind of stuff that just you don't really see explored on TV much, I don't think. So for all the same reasons that I liked Sex and the City, I really dug and just like that. But it's getting absolute hate from most people. But I'm going to stand up and say yes. Here, I enjoyed the show.
Yay! Well, 3 cheers for that. Yeah. That's cool. That sounds like a good time.
It was.
By the way, the movie coming out about the Unabomber, it's called Ted K. It's about the Montana years of the Unabomber's life leading up to his arrest. It stars a guy named Chartlow Copley.
Chartlow Copley.
Yeah, you know him from District 9.
Oh, that's the thing. I looked up his IMDb. So all of these movies he's been in, some of them are all very well known. I have not seen any of this. I've never seen Chappie. I've never seen District 9. I've never seen Hardcore Henry.
18.
18. Never saw that either. Yeah. So every movie he chooses, clearly is just not for me. So
Maleficent.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
That's what that is.
Tobin Bell played him in a 1996 film Unabomber. Jigsaw himself as Ted Kaczynski.
Oh, it's a good name for a movie about the Unabomber.
There was a great Netflix thing called Manhunter, which was already great. So
Manhunt.
You don't need to. Yeah, I mean, you don't need to see this. I mean, I guess if you want to, if you're into Ted Kaczynski, go to town. But
Well, Jesus, man, it's been kind of a light week, man. Like I've been hitting my grade book and really trying to like do more at work. So it's kind of lightened my movie load a little bit. A lot of spreadsheets. But I managed to sneak in a couple oldies but goodies. Splendor in the Grass, kind of a drama romance by Elia Kazan from 1961. It's our old buddy Warren Beatty's debut. And I got to tell you, I love the picture. And God damn it all to hell, I loved Warren Beatty in it. He was charming and he was fantastic as this youth whose father, played by Commissioner Gordon himself, Pat Hingle. Come on, Robert, let's go. This overbearing, drunken Irish father who demands his son give up his sexual escapades and go to Yale. And I loved Warren Beatty as this conflicted kid. Like every movie in the early 60s had like the conflicted like 20-something struggling with their dad's like thumb on their ass, like pinning them down, wanting them to be a man and take over it's that whole deal, but it's told absolutely beautifully by Elia Kazan, Natalie Wood, and the great Warren Beatty. Like I'm
Kazan, sell out, sold everybody out. HUAC, not cool.
That's what they say. But
name some names.
A great filmmaker that named names, and I'm not gonna forgive him for this, but it was a different time, and he made a beautiful picture. And I celebrate the work of Warren. Every time I go back and watch a Warren Beatty movie, like, this guy's fucking boring. What's with this guy? I end up liking the performance. So maybe there's something here.
Yeah, Zero Mostel was pissed, so I know that. It's kind of weird that you brought that up in a way, because I'm going to bring that up in my segment. So
really? All three of us are going to talk about the fucking McCarthy era?
We really are.
Isn't that weird? Whoa!
Invasion of the Body Snatchers for that reason.
Yeah.
Bizarro.
Yeah. It's Red Scare Week on the Cinema Nine podcast. Paper Moon, it's been popping up, and we lost the great Peter Bogdanovich a couple months ago, so I decided to check back in. A cute movie. This guy Ryan O'Neal, like I still kind of really don't know how this guy is famous, who he knows. Like he's very bland. Like in this, he's bland. I love Barry Lyndon, but he's just like there in it. Love Story, he's just there. Like, who is this guy? Like, how is this guy in movies? But a cute movie,
isn't it? Handsome dude. That's it.
He just looks like Gutenberg light. He looks like the poor man Steve Gutenberg in the 70s to me. But like very bland. But a cute picture. Tatum O'Neal took home the Oscar at like 11, and she's fantastic in the movie. So yeah, I recommend Paper Moon.
I wonder if Tatum O'Neal would trade that Oscar back for a normal childhood free of substance use. I wonder.
Yeah, and a terrible strained relationship with her father, Ryan O'Neal, too. Like horrible 30-year estrangement. Right. What a cute movie. And if you got
that's cool.
A cute movie.
Yeah. A horrible life aside, a cute performance. But Travis, you got to catch up on some Bogdanovich. I believe you said like you've never seen any Peter Bogdanovich.
Oh well, I've seen The Sopranos many times.
Oh, like it's like directed feature films, like because Last Picture Show's on Prime, and there's some good ones, man. Mask, but yeah, I watched Anastasia like with Ingrid Bergman, like as like Annie Andrews, whoever, the woman who claimed to be Anastasia. They made like 5 movies about Anna Anderson, and like before that it was proven that she was not Anastasia, but kind of a nice like golden Hollywood picture that I enjoyed. And I gotta tell you, man, that's it. More Cold Case Files, Unsolved Mysteries. That's all I got.
All right.
I enjoyed Bad Religion's Anastasia. It's an excellent song.
Yeah.
But also we go back to Randy Rhoads. The Coens do not make bad movies. They make good movies that aren't their various masterpieces. Just a little comment from Randy. Thanks, Randy, for chiming in. Appreciate that.
Right.
He says, or perhaps I am biased, which is reasonable. That sounds like you're a reasonable human being when you say something like that. Sure. We applaud you for that. Thank you. Golf clap.
Thank you, Randy.
Golf clap.
Speaking of golf clap, I watched Men at Work, so that kind of segued beautifully in a way. I really did. So.
Men at Work.
Things are different. Also, they seem.
I'll tell you what, man. That's a fun movie, and I'm liking it more and more. I used to loathe it, and every time I watch it now, I'm like, I was younger. I just didn't get it. I understand a lot more now, and it's just a much better film, especially after I start to really celebrate all the directorial efforts by Emilio Estevez. So I guess I'm kind of. It just also draws me in further. I'm like, I love this movie.
It's so goof nerd. It's so just like, hey, let's make a movie with our friends. Let's get Dean Cameron in here, put a pizza on his head. It's just gonna be silly.
Exactly, and it's dumb. But if you want to have a nice time, get away from it all, and watch the two brothers in their prime, Estevez and Sheen. They're doing their thing there. Their chemistry is natural because they're brothers, and they weren't totally, I don't know, off the reservation. Not that Emilio ever really was. I mean, Charlie, unfortunately, has had issues in his life now where things didn't go his way. But he was still a great actor once upon a time, and he will always have that. That's why Celluloid preserves history, just like it did for Tatum O'Neal, despite her terrible childhood. We'll always have that movie.
Oh, so. Good. We're back on Tatum.
Yeah. Tatum and Connie's.
Yeah, Tatum and Connie. So I I'd never seen this movie. I'd seen most of Mel Brooks' directorial efforts. I never saw Life Stinks, which has been shit on by society, apparently.
Thanks.
A terrible rating on IMDb.
Yeah.
It's like
It's not well received.
universally panned because he had done a lot of spoofs, coming off Spaceballs and lots of other spoofs for most of his directorial efforts. This one was really a radical departure from all that. It's a different movie for him. It's not that funny. It's really a borderline experimental type film in a way. And it's not funny, but it's definitely interesting. I find it. I watched the whole thing, and you're not going to get your typical Mel Brooks experience with this film. But you got some Jeffrey Tambor as his rival, and they're two rich assholes trying to exploiting the worst of society here, and a lot of big messages in this film. And Mel Brooks learns a lot. His character learns so much, and Leslie Ann Warren is absolutely wonderful in this film.
She's beautiful.
She's so good. Yeah, she's fantastic too. So full credit to her. Someone I'm not always hugely familiar with, but she was great. So I recommend you check out Life Stinks if you ever saw it. Even those criticized, give it a shot.
Sure.
Yeah. And then that reminded me of, I was just looking through Mel Brooks' past on IMDb, scrolling like I love to do while I watch a movie sometimes. I always, if a new movie to me, there's nothing more enjoyable for some reason than firing up the IMDb app on my phone while I watch the movie and kind of diving into the trivia and things about the movie. It's just so interesting to me. And then I went back and thought about all the old movies, looked at the producers, and then I went into this deep dive on Zero Mostel. So, and then the fact that he was one of the people that were truly blacklisted from Hollywood because of the HUAC committee and Joseph McCarthy, the scumbag. And apparently, he was not a fan of Elia Kazan. Said that you should have talked. Should have said what you said or something. So he didn't come out and say it directly, but he was disappointed, I guess. So there you go. That's the connection.
Did you watch any Zero Mostel movies?
I did not.
Besides
that would be something I didn't even watch the producers yet, so I've seen it before, but I will. I'm going to watch some more of his stuff. Like a funny thing happened on the way to the forum. I've always heard that title. I've never seen it. I'm going to watch that next, I think, because I've never seen it.
It's worth checking out the reunion with him and Gene Wilder, Rhinoceros. Speaking of experimental films, I really love the movie Rhinoceros. If you're not familiar, it's the two of them, and the premise is that everyone in town is turning into rhinoceroses.
Okay. Wow. Well, I'm definitely going to check that out for sure.
Yeah, I love it.
It's at least worth turning on, isn't it?
It's worth seeing. Yeah.
Yes. Okay,
it's definitely worth checking out. Aaron Worley, good friend, chiming in with, how about Solar Babies? Mel Brooks was nearly bankrupted on that one. I got to be honest with you. I'm not sure I've ever even heard of Solar Babies. You guys know Solar Babies?
I don't know what he's talking about.
I've never heard of it. Maybe he produced it.
Stump me.
Yeah, stump me too. He's a good fan of obscure cinema, our friend Chud Pud. He knows some of the down and dirty gems.
Solar Babies, 1986. In a post-apocalyptic future ruled by the military, a group of renegade teenage orphans find a legendary orb, Bodai, that can supposedly bring the rain back to dried up Earth. It's not directed by him or written. It looks like it may have been produced.
I'm there. We've got Jason Patrick and, yes, Jamie Gertz as Tara.
Yeah.
I got to put this at the top of the list. Oh, God,
this is the year before Lost Boys, so this is that era of the 80s. But it
wow.
looks like Mel might have been a producer, so if he was really dedicated to this and he wanted it to work, he probably dumped way too much money into it, and it didn't go his way.
Yeah, working on the History of the World Part 2 right now. Old Mel.
What? Yeah, he's going to be 100 in 2026. So,
Still very sharp,
just saying. Yeah, he is. Yeah, I mean, his good pal Carl Reiner died recently, so he's still going, though. So good for him. Mel Brooks was the executive producer on Solar Babies. There you go.
All right.
Thank you, Aaron. We learned something. And he also says, it's insane. Okay.
Okay.
Sounds like I should wait and see it at your house one day. Maybe I'll save it next time I ever show up to your house, Chud Pud. I'm back in the habit of watching movies. I know it's been a rough stretch for me, but I dedicated myself and I conditioned myself to change, to get back to basics. I watched Wayne's World 1 and 2, and I think Wayne's World 2 is actually funnier. Even though there wouldn't be a Wayne's World 2 without a 1, I just like a lot of the jokes in Wayne's World 2 more than 1 because they're really, really funny. The Kevin Pollak scene's hilarious. I like the whole, the dream sequences, which I usually hate. They're funny and stupid when they go out to see Jim Morrison and Sammy Davis Jr. in the middle of the desert. Makes me laugh. It's stupid. I like stupidity. And Mike Myers, he was in the zone back then. He's coming into his prime, and he did it better than anybody in terms of that inane, kind of coming out of nowhere absurdity. So.
Yeah, all right. I always preferred the first one, but glad that the second one's still worth checking out.
It's clearly a carbon copy with the same premise, and so I don't care about that. I'm talking just about what makes me laugh more, just the jokes. So that's it. And Kim Basinger's, she's really funny in this one too. So good on her for kind of going all out in the role and just accepting that she's supposed to be this sex pot, this murderous sex pot. So that's funny. So check that out. And then I watched a movie that was really bizarre to me. I never saw it. I think I've seen spoofs of this with Not Another Teen Movie and other parodies. Never Been Kissed with Drew Barrymore.
Okay.
It's about a adult woman who goes back to high school.
That's right.
Despite her awful high school experience. Second chance to get it right with her brother. Our old pal David Arquette is back.
That's right.
As the cool brother who wants to go back and relive his cool days by dating a 16-year-old. He's 23 and it's like cool and everyone's rooting for them to get together. Like, what? Really fucking weird, man. This movie, the longer this movie goes on and the weirder this goes to the very end and the final conclusion, you're like, what the fuck, man? This movie is fucking bizarre. It doesn't hold up at all, and you're like, how did this shit get made today? I really question that this would ever be done the way it was done. A lot of gray areas with liberties related to high schoolers and adults getting together in social situations. Fucking stupid. So, I don't know. Sorry, Drew. I love Drew Barrymore, but hey, you can't win them all. So. And then I fired up Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. I fell asleep. It's always fun to do that. And,
it's beautiful.
Black Sheep came on after that, and I turned it off. I actually got annoyed. I love Chris Farley, but it was too much hijinks. I was telling Leanne, I'm like, this is some reason in the moment. I've watched Black Sheep several times. I turned to Leanne and said, this is too much hijinks. It's just every moment. The tie gets stuck in the car. He crashes into the marquee. It's like 10 minutes in the movie. We've already had 15 stupid physical bozo moments. I like Chris Farley. A good example of this to challenge that is Chris Farley in Wayne's World 2, where he has just some of the best lines, the way he delivers them. He's like, I hate my father, I hate my life, but I feel great. Like, that's funny. That shit is hilarious when he says that stuff. But, the hijinks, although he's the master of physical comedy, it just wasn't done well in Black Sheep, and I turned it off.
Yeah, too much. Too much of a good thing. Can't just scream and have it be funny every time. It's dumb.
Yeah, it's very inferior to Tommy Boy.
Right.
Very inferior. I watched There Will Be Blood. That's always fun, but I haven't watched Licorice Pizza, which is stupid. Watched Rain Man. Rain Man was free on there. Yep. I hadn't seen Rain Man in 25 plus years.
Oh, no way.
Is when they, I hadn't seen it forever.
It's great. Squeezed and pulled and hurt my neck in 1988.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's good. It's a fascinating film. They're killing it. They're killing it. Both of them. Dustin Hoffman gets all the credit, but Tom Cruise does an extraordinary job.
That's what I keep saying. Incredible.
Yeah, I think Michael Caine chimed in. Michael Caine, I read this story after the fact. It's a true story. Michael Caine found out he had a brother who was disabled and he was living in an institution in real life. And he said he saw Rain Man and he saw so much of himself in Tom Cruise's performance. And he gave Cruise all the credit in the world for bringing out all of the things in the movie that make it so good, because Dustin Hoffman has the showy part, but Tom Cruise has to maintain himself and show this journey of an emotional growth through a short period of time, and he does it superbly. So good on Tom Cruise. I give Tom Cruise shit sometimes, but he really was great in Rain Man.
Honestly, that movie gets better every time I watch it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Good to know. Well, that's pretty much it. I'll leave it there. So, I watched some movies. I'm back on track. We'll see what happens next. Who knows when I'll watch a Licorice Pizza? No one knows for sure. Wow, we watched Never Been Kissed this week, too. Weird.
Yeah, everyone watched it, too. That's funny.
It's absurd.
It's absurd.
Okay, yeah. Sure, I'll watch that one too. Oh boy.
Oh, boy.
Okay. Well,
Almost Heroes.
almost. I mean,
Yeah.
John Candy was a good man.
Yikes.
So we'll leave him out of this. All right, there it is. That's what we've been watching. And if you want to send us any thoughts on what you've been watching, cinema9pod at protonmail.com. We always encourage you to give us a 5-star rating on your favorite podcast platform, which is available for Spotify and Apple Podcasts. You can do it both ways, and we're happy to get it however we can get it. We thank you so much for your time and energy in any way related to our show. So let's get to it. It's time for Does It Hold Up? The main event.
Yeah.
The 2004 film, a Coen Brothers vehicle, The Ladykillers. Sorry, Tom Hanks and Marlon Wayans. We got a whole crew of people here. J.K. Simmons in the house. It's going to be fascinating. George Wallace is the sheriff in this movie,
Yep.
which is interesting.
Yep.
So, Travis, take us back in time. I think last week you were not excited when I announced this film. So take us back to your original viewing of this movie.
Boy.
Well, let's see. This came out in 2004, as you said. What came out before this? Intolerable Cruelty, I think, was the one right before this. And before that was Oblot, right? Oh,
Yeah,
brother.
right. Yep.
So when
The
Oh
Man
Brother,
Who Wasn't There, and then Oh Brother.
Oh, thank you. You're right.
Whatever. Yeah.
The Man Who Wasn't There, and then Oh
It
Brother.
was 01. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Brother,
It was
Man Who Wasn't There,
Oblot.
Tolerable Cruelty, then this one.
It was Oblot, Man Who Wasn't There,
Right.
Intolerable Cruelty, Ladykillers.
Okay. So I loved Oh Brother. I loved Man Who Wasn't There when they came out, and I had been a fan, since Barton Fink. I guess you would be when my fandom of them started. So I was ready for some good stuff, and then Intolerable Cruelty came out, and I was like, okay, they're allowed the occasional miss. And then Ladykillers came out, and I didn't catch it in theaters for some reason. I feel like it had maybe not a great theatrical release, you know what I mean? I don't remember. It seemed funny to me it seems funny to me now that I didn't catch it in theaters, but maybe I was just busy. And so I caught it when it came out and was terrifically underwhelmed. And that's how, and I hadn't watched it since. So until last night, or the night before last, actually. So
Okay.
and
Wow.
and I will, and I just want to say real quick, J.K. Simmons, since you mentioned him, him and Jesse Plemons nominated for Best Supporting Actors. I mean, why? I like both these men very much. J.K. Simmons at least is doing some stuff. I mean, Jesse Plemons in Power of the Dog literally stands around and stares at things. That's pretty much it. Even he was on Mark Maron's show and was like, I had to find stuff to do for this guy because there was nothing there. I just don't understand why they were nominated. I mean, good movies, but it just seemed like a waste of opportunity.
Strange. Out of all the movies released, it's like,
yeah,
what the fuck?
It's like they think they have to nominate everything from the same 10 movies.
I feel like staring can be powerful, but I get your point. I do.
Well, did you watch the movie?
No.
All right, well.
But I've seen people stare on screen, so
It can be powerful. You're right.
yeah.
Dustin
I've seen
Hoffman and
people-
Rayman, all he does is stare at the window for 2 straight hours.
Harry Dean Stanton and Lucky's got the most powerful stare I've ever seen.
Wow. Eric, what about you? It was the first time you saw Ladykillers.
In the theater opening night, I was pumped beyond a reproach. I could not wait till it came out. Laughing at the preview, I was like, this is guaranteed hit. We got Tom Hanks returning to his comedy roots after years and years of straight man biopics and all this shit. I'm like, here we go. Finally, Tom Hanks in a straight comedy, goof times, Coen's. I walked out of the theater just completely befuddled at how bland it was and not good. You get that feeling. There's times when you're in the movie theater, you just get that feeling that washes over you 18 to 20 minutes in. Shit, this isn't good. Yep, shit, this is bad. Yep. And then you sit there. If you're in the theater, you sit there, you tough it out, and then when it's over, you walk out. Don't even say anything to your friends. You just go back home and cry, like I did. I haven't seen it since. I've always seen it as this huge misfire.
Yeah, that's the feeling I got last week, so that maintains. I saw this on DVD about 3 years after it came out. I remember when it came out, and I was like, oh, yeah. I kind of didn't keep up on some of the Coen's work there for a couple of years, and it just didn't motivate me as much, especially maybe after I saw Intolerable Cruelty being bland, too.
Yeah.
Although I liked it better when I watched it a couple months ago. But Ladykillers, it made me laugh. I thought it was funny. I loved Marlon Wayans. I'm a big fan of Marlon Wayans. I thought he was hilarious in this movie at the time when I watched it. And, Tom Hanks was just this. I mean, it was just an endless performance. It's exhaustive. It's tons of heavy verbiage in this movie for him. This character who's a master of antiquity when it comes to languages and literature and all these things. So, that was his role. That's what this guy did. And I thought he did it to a T. So I just thought it was a weird town and a strange place. And I liked the caper part of it. So that's what I remembered enjoying about it. And thought it was entertaining. I laughed a lot. I really liked the exchange between this group. We talk about ensembles recently. We talked when we had, the Ravenous crew last week. We loved it. When that crew was first coming together, we wanted maybe a different movie even, and then we didn't get that. So when a crew got some cohesion to it, I like it, then I'm in. So that's, I think, what drew this movie to me originally. But as far as its rating on IMDb, I have no idea what it is. I can't wait to find out what it is. Anybody?
Yeah, I checked.
Okay, I'm going to...
What are you going to say, Mike?
Well, people are pissed, obviously. It is a Coen Brothers. I think maybe... I just can't see a Coen Brothers movie going below 6, though. So I'm going to say 6.2.
I was going to say 6.0.
Okay.
Yeah.
Eric?
Damn it. Bear with me here. This is 6.2.
Oh,
yeah. Wow. Okay. Woo-hoo. Well, we're both right there. Whatever. So that's.
Thanks
I
for
knew it
sharing
wouldn't
that.
go below 6. I knew it wouldn't go below 6 for some reason.
Yeah. Like, Coens, I don't know that any Coens would go below 6. I mean, just because the level of excitement that people have for their and we talked about this when we talked about when we did The Man Who Wasn't There, that, and this is the same comment that was it Rand that right, Randy, that made
Randy
earlier.
Rhoads.
Yeah, thank you. That, it's even a bad, quote unquote bad Coen Brothers movie is going to be good. I mean, look at the cinematography in this movie.
Oh my God.
What Roger Deakins here does, I mean, especially the shots of the police station, I'm like, just put that in a frame and I'll hang it.
Yeah.
It looks so gorgeous.
Yeah,
just looking at this fucking police station,
J.K. Simmons' eyes when he's looking down at Marlon Wayans after he kills him looks like fucking like Botticelli painting.
Yeah, it really maximizes that basement. I'll say that, or that root cellar. Sorry,
root
cellar.
cellar.
Root cellar. I'm not even gonna do that voice. Whatever that voice is. Although, how many times did you hear Forrest Gump come out of Tom Hanks in this movie?
Not as much as I heard, as you pointed out when we did Cloud Atlas, the Southern gentleman from like the 19th century on the Pacific Ocean. Yeah, you're right.
Oh, God.
Different look, but there's a very similar vocal thing going on there. You weren't wrong.
Oh, he really does love that character, doesn't he? You're right. Fascinating. Yeah. Rotten Tomatoes wise, 54% from the critics. That's a splat technically. And the audience even less at 43, which is much lower than the IMDb score of 6.2. I feel like a 6.2 would equate to like a 60%.
I don't know.
If we're equating numbers. Critical reviews. We got a few of them here, and hoping we get Destin. I feel good. I feel good about a Destin.
Yeah, I feel like this is prime Destin territory. 2004 hasn't quite gotten on that Obama train yet.
Obama.
Boy,
let's see. No goody coons. We got New York Magazine, Vulture. New York Magazine is now Vulture. Is that how that works? I don't know how that works.
To me.
Peter Rayner says it's a both low down and effete. EFFETE.
A feat.
A feat.
Yeah, a feat.
It's both low down and a feat. A jamboree of whoopee jokes and sick wit.
And what? Sick
wit. Yeah.
Oh, wit. I heard
sick
wet.
Wit.
I was like,
sick
what does
and
sick wet mean? That sounds disgusting.
Yeah, that is apparently very witty. A very witty romp.
Okay.
There's a lot of verbiage in here. A lot of linguistical jousting.
Shay now. Yeah, I feel like there's some that guy, that Looney Tunes characters in this movie is bizarre.
Foghorn
Jay
Leghorn?
Hoberman. Jay. What a dumb character. Jay Hoberman of the Village Voice says, there's the mind-numbing oompa rhythm of every gag telegraphed and every joke pounded into the ground.
Wow. Oompa rhythm. I love that. Fucking Oompa rhythm. This movie
Oompa
does
rhythm.
have big Oompa energy. It's true.
Yeah.
Rings true with the audience. There it is.
That's
Good old
funny.
Richard Roper popped in. Most of this stuff isn't worthy of the Farrelly brothers, let alone the Coen brothers.
Dang.
Wow.
That's not bad.
That's savage.
This was after Shallow Hal too. My God.
Wow.
Jeez.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm still looking for Destin. Mick LaSalle of the San Francisco Chronicle
He's a
never
good one.
settles into an assured rhythm, and instead the actors always seem to be putting the hard sell on an audience that, however distracted by the strenuousness of the sales pitch, still is not buying.
Everybody's really trying, man. Everyone is just at an 11 with their performances, doing what they can here with the script.
I think that's a pretty astute review there. I mean, people are like, we're working with the Coens, we're working with this great cast. Obviously, it's going to be good. Let's do really good.
Let's give it all we got. Let's try.
Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna try. Okay. There's
Everybody
a ton
but
of
Ryan
reviews for
Hurst.
this. Oh.
He did the best he could with what he was
Jesus.
given. Old lump.
Yeah, it seems like he was really trying though.
Yeah,
So, trying to
I'm
take a
just playing.
dump. Really, is mostly lump the dump. Lump takes
Lump
a
the dump.
dump.
Lump the dump.
Man, I just went through all the pages and
He goes the whole movie sound like Frankenstein's creature trying to say his first words.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Constipated Frankenstein's monster.
that's awful. Yeah.
Shame.
Although so there is no Dessin, guys. I'm sorry. I went through all the
Okay.
pages. There's a lot of reviews, but there is no Destin Thompson or Goody Coons for that matter. But I feel like Goody Coons is a little more recent. He's in the 2010s. He didn't work back in the 2000s based on what we know.
We
In
haven't
general-
researched Goody Coons the way we have stalked. I mean, researched Destin Thompson. So
When you look at these reviews, though, like the general consensus seems to be pointing up two fingers at both Coen brothers, like specifically, like it's not even really aimed at anything but these filmmakers and our expectations of them.
yeah.
So when I had to watch it last night, I had to check myself. Like I eventually, like after like 20 minutes, I just had to be like, all right, forget the Coen brothers. Like I'm just going to assume they wanted to have fun with something a little silly and off kilter and different, cartoonish. And I'm just kind of going to try to enjoy the ride here, because if you start comparing this to every Coen brothers movie, that's a futile effort. It's just not going to happen.
Peter Travers says you'll have to watch the original film to see it done right.
Yeah, man. All of the Ealing studio comedies from the 50s with Alec Guinness, Kindheart Coronets, Lavender Hill Mob. And I remember seeing the Ladykillers before this. It's kind of a different movie because it's based in London and there's like complicity things with the old lady. And it's definitely not as zany, but it's fucking fantastic. It's just different enough from this to make that kind of its own movie. It's very like drawl and British. But yeah, and you got people comparing this to its original and this lackluster, kind of shoehorned in product that was originally written for Barry Sonnenfeld, and he had to back out, and it was like a pay or play thing, so they decided to just shoot the damn thing.
Definitely letting us know how you feel.
No, I'm not. I'm not yet.
Okay.
So
Shoehorned, lackluster, but okay.
Well, this is
about how great it holds up.
No, I'm
They're
talking about
masters.
I'm talking about this. I'm focusing strictly on the 56% and the 40, like what the general word is on the street.
Okay.
Okay. Last one for Roger Ebert. Always wildly signaling for us to notice it. Not content to be funny, it wants to be funny, all capital letters. Have you ever noticed that the more a comedian wears funny hats, the less funny he is? Okay, well, I don't know about that. I like hats sometimes. So, yeah. This, you just made a point that I thought about what the Coens have done. And maybe it's impossible to ignore that, but yeah, you think about The Big Lebowski. If some things had been done a little bit differently, it wouldn't have been as well received, and it could have been a flop. And in a ways, it was a flop at the beginning. It really caught on later, and it's classic status beyond reproach now. But I feel like they've done things where they feel like, oh, people will catch on to this. They'll understand this, and they like this kitschy, unique kind of different takes where we got characters doing stuff that's off the wall. And I mean, there's some real off the wall shit in Big Lebowski and other Coen brothers movies. So I get why they probably felt like they could just do whatever they want and people would probably catch on.
Yeah, I mean, you make good points. I mean, I think that one of these these two filmmakers' great strengths is that they take risks. They've never rested on their laurels, man. They've always, gone out there and made some films that now and then you'll walk away and be like, I'm not so sure about that one, but God bless them for not just falling into a rut and doing the same thing. I mean, look what they did, what Joel Coen did this year, a German expressionist take on Shakespeare. Like that's heavy shit. And that's very experimental. And you got to respect it.
Yeah. Did you catch the Hail Caesar reference in this? Twirl Were That Simple? I just noticed it.
Yeah. What
Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
That was funny to me. I laughed. I chuckled. But yeah, what do you think of that, Eric? Because I think they can go in any direction they want to and feel free to do so. So we can still rip them if we don't like it, and they'll stand up to criticism because they know how the game works.
The movie's a cartoon. Like it literally plays out like a Looney Tunes cartoon with F-bombs. I mean, it knows what it is. It's not like so beyond the Coen style that it's like, is this like a Wayans Brothers movie? Is this like a scary movie? Like that team making this? Like it feels very Coen. Not just because of the beautiful technical shots, but because like the whole like comeuppance of characters that try to have no scruples. Like it feels Coen. So everyone's up in arms, I think, just because like a lot of the jokes seem very much like poo-poo and fart jokes, which we don't normally see from the Coens. So I think it's just so inane and so zany that people just dismissed it as being infantile.
Who's your guys' favorite character in this movie?
That's tough.
Is it tough because there's so many, or because there isn't any?
I don't know. I might be the general. I like the general.
The general?
Oh, I like Pancake, J.K. Simmons.
Pancake, dog murderer.
Oh, he's
Pancake.
a fucking idiot. Fuck that guy. Yeah.
He made me laugh.
That guy's a moron. He ruins everything.
I'm trying to imagine like being on set and being like, no, we need to get the dog more lifelike. People will laugh harder if the dog is really, really believable and dying. I personally really enjoyed that aspect of this film at this point.
Yeah, I'm sorry about
Dead
that.
dog
I was
shit. That's
watching
a
the
great
movie.
way to kick
I didn't
off a
remember
fucking
that.
movie. I'm like,
sorry about that.
It's okay. It's not your fault. I'm just fucking baffled that any filmmaker would be like, oh, this is so funny, even if my dog hadn't just died. I mean, like, what are you fucking thinking that this is a funny scene having your character kill a dog? I guess they're trying to set a tone that they're killers, but the guy doesn't do it on purpose, and it's all just completely played for laughs. And then Bruce Campbell is just kind of standing off to this,
standing around.
I'm like, what is even like? Am I in a fever dream? What is even happening right now? But
yeah, I think they're setting the tone for how stupid he is, and this is the way they chose to do it. So.
Yeah, but I mean, it clearly intended to be funny, and it comes across as like,
it's not the tongue sticking. That's just ridiculous.
Yeah, he's like trying to get it mouth to mouth, and Greg Grunberg standing over like the dog is dead. Like it's supposed to be like hijinks, and it's not. It's like cringy as shit.
It's a montage
the general
of all the
is my
characters,
favorite.
Right? So
yeah, the general is my favorite character too. Hitler mustache notwithstanding.
Yeah, I love the. They allude to a lot in this movie. Clearly, he was part of the Vietnam War in some way. Yes, Vietnam specifically. His tunneling experience. So this movie is heavy as fucking a lot of stuff. But go ahead. Who's your favorite character, Eric?
Me? Well, I'm sorry, but every time J.K. Simmons said something, I laughed.
See, I wanted like Marlon Wayans' character because I thought he still makes me laugh in this movie. He is funny, but he's such so much indignation within him as a character. I can't like him at all because he's willing to sacrifice anything related to his own personal well-being first and foremost, even though he's a part of a team. And in the way, Lump might be the most likable. He's the biggest team player. He just doesn't have anything to offer other than that stupid face and the weird finger raising he does. When, coach.
And he's a good digger. Got to give him credit for that.
What an incredible
digging.
The makeup they did too. I always think that stuff is funny when they do people who are dirty because they've been in the dirt all day. Like they didn't roll around in the dirt or something. Makeup came out. Okay, we got to make you look dirty. We'll do this for an hour. And you could have just rolled around in the dirt for 5 minutes and it would have been done a lot quicker. But
it blew my mind that. Yeah. It blew my
Wile E.
mind.
Coyote blows up and he's all black. Like J.K. Simmons literally blew up and he's like, whoa, what the fuck going on here?
But I was really surprised to learn that Ryan Hurst is fucking Opie from Sons of Anarchy. I'm so used to seeing him with a beard.
Oh yeah.
My mind was blown when I looked at his IMDb, as you know, and like, holy shit, I knew that face. It's fucking Opie.
Yeah,
Does he make that face in Sons of Anarchy?
No, he's the best part of Sons of Anarchy, hands down.
Yeah, he's good. It's much
really
different.
was.
Much different.
Yeah, very different.
You imagine
yeah.
finally get the chance to work with the Coen brothers. Your family's like, oh, like, what's your role? Like, I do this.
I make sure there's no air in my lungs, and then I hang my tongue out.
Dumbledore. Yeah, he's doing like a Dumbledore, a poor Dumbledore. I will say that I did enjoy the point of view football montage part of that, though, only because, yeah, what a brutal game that is. It was like, this is awful. Why would you want to do this? You're just face to face with these assholes all game long, and it was, and I always love when a coach loses his shit on the sidelines because they always make it the most extreme stupidity possible, and they did that in this movie. So the montage is fun, especially when the general sticks his fingers up that guy's nose. I don't think that's prosthetics in any way. It looks like his fingers were really up that guy's nose when they try to rob the donut store.
Yeah, but if you're holding a gun and someone shoves both fingers up their nose, or you're holding a gun and someone shoves the fingers up the nose of the guy next to you. I mean, why didn't you at least even if you don't pull the trigger, at least put the gun in his face. I mean, I was like, you've got two guns. He's got two fingers. What is happening?
None for each of you. Yeah, it looks like the general's pretty tough, dude. He's a tough customer. Yeah. So, I don't know who's likable, but you got fun. You got a lot of guys, a lot of actors that I admire. I mean, this is, besides the old woman, is there any other females in this movie?
No.
Yeah, this is a very heavy male.
In the choir, I guess. But
yeah,
but
the church girl.
I don't find particularly likable.
Hell no.
No.
Hell no. Now, I actually thought that maybe you didn't like this movie originally because, I mean, this movie is heavy. It's saturated with
Christy.
Yes, super Christy, not just religious, specifically Christian, religiously heavy.
Super Christy, and here is this black woman just loving Bob Jones University. Like, do you have any idea of what their racial, which I can only assume
that's the joke.
Yeah, I can only assume that's on purpose, that she's ignorant to their history. But like, I mean, I'm just like, both that time and this time, I'm like, it's just so fucking Christy.
I think it's a comparison, like, who's really the worst person here? Because this woman is so pious, supposedly, about the lifestyle she's living. But what does she really do? Who does she help? What does she do for other people? And how does she make their lives better with all the other actions that she does? The time she gives to what she thinks are the, hey, I'm giving my time to the church and we're here to help people. We got to show them the way because time's ticking. She also seems to be dedicated to a pretty extremist version of Christianity as far as the flock goes, with all the rules or the retellings of the Bible that she mentions. I was like, well, this is not my speed at all. I mean, I'm already not a Christian, so it's not for me, but
I mean, it's not just her actions or words or her character that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. It's the excessive choir scenes, the excessive church scenes, and above all else, the fact that like there is a clear, I mean, this movie is like it's a allegory, right? It's all like a lesson. It's a fairy tale, and it's
supernatural.
It's funny. It's coming from these Jewish dudes. I don't think that they're into Christianity. Like, I don't think that they're necessarily trying to present this movie as a factual account of the way, of the ledger that is the cosmic workings of Jesus and Satan. But the movie works in such a way, like the mechanics of the movie are that evil people have bad things happen to them, and the good Christ loving person, everything works out for her just by virtue of a bunch of freak accidents and a cat. So the movie to me has a really, really strong God-centric, Christian-centric vibe to it that just I just have a hard time getting on board with it.
And Othar's watching over her too. It's like a supernatural. It's part, hey, Christianity and supernatural coming together because he's in heaven, up above the mantle, looking over her. In a way, it's like the cat is his spirit too. They're saying that is saving her,
or he's working through the cat or something. Yeah. Otho, what's his name?
Othar? I think it's Othar.
Lothar of the Hill People.
That's how it was in the subtitles, anyways. Othar.
Okay, well, the script has to get the point across that the cops won't believe this woman no matter what she says, and she is completely obliviousness to the world going around her. She's widowed. She lives alone. All she has is her.
She does not like.
She does not like.
Left my wallet in El Segundo.
So yeah, I mean, and maybe that's why she says, "Oh, she's devoted to God and a thing you cannot see," and she's just trusting, which makes her more susceptible to these criminals, which I totally understand. And it's like it's like a cartoon. So you have a sweet old lady who goes to church and like trusts everyone and is completely oblivious. So perfect prey.
I don't think she's very sweet though. She's prickly. She's
big time
judgmental and making faces all the time and rude to people. I think she's mean.
Yeah, even when Hanks' character tries to engage her after she shares the fife that Othar made,
right?
And he's like, "Oh, did he blow the shofar?" It was supposed to be this joke about blowing the shofar, but the shofar is a real horn thing that the Jewish people use in ceremonies. I've seen it. I've seen them blow on it and stuff. It's just like a horn. So, but that she's super against that because it's not her thing and she's not familiar with it. She gets really agitated and annoyed. Like, he never blew no shofar. Okay, but he's actually trying to connect with you. It's just an example of her that she wants things on her terms 24/7. If she doesn't understand them, she becomes instantly standoffish.
So in the original, it's like a sweet old British, white lady. And the cool thing about that original is she is actually complicit in the deal because she kind of unknowingly transports the money at some point. So the criminals actually have something on her for when it's time for her to potentially turn them in. They can turn around and say, "Hey, you're involved, whether you know it, you're not, or not, because this happened earlier." I think Mavis is her name. She does go through the entire movie like unscathed, not really having to do much of anything. She's, hardly even a participant here. There's really nothing to the character except her like commenting, noticing stuff, and like being kind of funny. Like there's not really much there. That's why I didn't really like the character that much.
Yeah, well, she definitely is a kind of character that responds in ways, for the most part, that are like convenient or inconvenient to the plot. Like if you hear an explosion when you're getting into a car and smoke is pouring out of your house, I don't care how insistent this guy is, you're gonna get out of the car and check on your fucking house.
Yeah, especially how hardcore and uptight she is. She wouldn't stand for that.
Right.
This is a movie where character motivations don't match up all the time at all.
That's how I felt. So, I mean, it's one of my
problems. Like, are there cameras in this casino? Are you gonna use the bathroom during a heist?
It's 2004, man. They don't say it's a period piece. There's fucking casinos in the 70s that had cameras. So get the fuck out of here.
Yeah,
it's strange.
That's a wonderful point.
I couldn't let it go. I couldn't let it go. I like the fact that he does a sensational drywalling job after the fact. I mean, very impressive, but it all would have been on camera. End of story. Especially in the vault, they'd have like 10 cameras. I'd just get the fuck out of here with that shit.
Yeah, bizarre.
So I guess that kind of ruins the caper for me. But I do enjoy this constant struggle between Simmons and Marlon Wayne's characters. Like they're always on each other's ass, and they cannot let it go. They cannot work in harmony for the greater good of this situation. And he brings up the bit about he wants workers' comp, like extra money. He puts up a couple trial balloons in this movie. He says, "Oh, it's just a trial balloon. Don't throw it up there." I mean, J.K. Simmons is so good. He is good in this movie. He's outstanding. He gives everything to the performance. I don't blame him. It's a character that's flawed as fuck too, in my opinion.
Oh yeah. He's such a fucking prick. With equal rights comes equal responsibility. Trying to be like, hey, I came down here as a freedom rider. You should appreciate me. Like, what are you talking? Yeah, like he's the world's worst liberal.
Yeah, he's the worst. Killer. Like, I did this for you, guy. Like, oh god, get out of my face with that shit. But at the same time, I laugh a lot in this movie, but then it does drag. You mentioned the choir scenes and the church stuff. I skipped a few times for sure. This movie, like, I don't care. Kept going.
I'm like, well,
Really?
some of the songs I like. Okay,
Let's go back to God.
Some of them remind me of like my family out home in West Virginia. Like they all sing gospel. Like they grew up like in that tradition, singing gospel music together, like a cappella with different registers and that kind of stuff. So I do like some of that kind of music in a nostalgic kind of way. But there's just so much of it in this movie. Like T-Bone Burnett was just like, here's every fucking song with Jesus in it. Here you go. Like, all right, I'm getting bombarded. Like you thought, oh brother was a piece of work. Here, like look what I've done for you now. It's like,
I'm trying to double down on that Grammy album of the year.
Right, it
a
bit
much.
like that, right?
Yeah,
like,
a bit much.
A bit like,
or maybe even the studio was like, "Look, we'll bankroll this, but we want another gospel album from the Coen brothers, the people who brought you, blah blah blah."
That's a good point.
Having like Lump, I mean, like he's stupid, and all these people are just characters. They're all one note, but they set up this this character in this first scene. Of getting like nailed in the face with this football, and like this is clearly like I don't think the dude's like mentally retarded. He's just like concussed, and it's just a running gag that these head injuries have just turned him into this complete moron that's being taken advantage of the whole movie. Like you guys talk about Mavis, like I kind of got an issue with that. It's like it did not sit well with me. Just like. Especially with the whole football thing, and this is right around the time when the dialogue started to happen, and you're just going to make fun of a dude who's fucking got head injuries because of the sport.
Yeah, it's weak. It's super weak. You're right. That's totally fair. And I actually didn't think about that. You're right. But I just dismiss his character entirely because I don't care. But that is a valid point. I used to love this movie because Tom Hanks carried the movie for me. That was a big part of it. I thought he's given everything to this performance. And he's got such a huge, imagine all the dialogue he had to memorize in this movie. It's a lot for him.
Yeah.
And now watching it, I seem to have been less interested. There were parts of me that was like, okay, is this scene over yet? When I used to be like, oh man, what a delight this guy is.
It's an exhausting performance. It's exhausting to watch. I can only imagine how exhausting it was to do.
Yeah, right? That's a great point. If we're exhausted, fuck. Yeah, it must have been a long recovery period for him. But there's something about this movie that they're trying to express too many messages in one movie. Like, how many different messages are in this film on meta levels or just straight up, allegorical levels like you described, Travis? It's kind of, I get lost and confused after a while.
The movie to me suffers from, I think it presumes that it's funnier than it is. I think that I feel like the Coens were probably really big fans of this movie and thought that everything there was so hilarious that it would just translate easily. But there is some stuff I like. The miniature for the Garbage Island and all that, like the effects for Garbage Island, the dropping of the bodies in the barge over and over again. Again, a little oompa, but I thought that was really well done. Again, like there's a lot of beautiful imagery in this film, and some of it is very metaphorical and trying to like make some point and done fairly well. I again, like it's this weird conundrum where it's like, what do I praise as simply being a good movie, and what do I and what am I being too harsh about because I have high expectations for the Coen brothers, but at the same time, what am I forgiving because it's the Coen brothers?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you nailed it. Like the first, like I laughed every time Marlon Wayans said anything. Like, what does he say? Like when he's like, they towed the dick and sold the motherfucker on. Like I'm laughing at that Lorena Bobbitt joke. I'm laughing at can't stop shitting, can't stop talking about shit. Like all this stuff to me is funny, but like to think that the Coen brothers penned this script is like, it's got me scratching my head. Like it seems like they may have gotten some help and not credited. And mostly because usually they're so precise about especially in a crime picture. Like that's their forte, like tying up every loose end. But you've got Stephen Root's character like firing Marlon Wayans because like he hit on a woman who clearly was flattered by it, and yet he's like, yeah, you're gonna get replaced by the same type of dipshit that you are. Like he's not gonna get fired.
I applauded that to fire someone for catcalling, regardless of how the woman felt about it. If that's how he's going to treat people trying to customers and shit,
in the real world, sure, but like this in this environment where like this is his crew, they're all a bunch of clowns, and like it doesn't seem like a huge deal. Nobody, who even saw it? She didn't complain. Like all of a sudden he knows, and you're fired. I'll hire somebody else to probably do the same thing. It's like
it was handled poorly.
It didn't seem like a kind of an unnecessary obstacle, but I as far as precision goes, I mean, the hardest I laughed in this movie was when Mavis gets down on the floor to try and introduce the sheriff to the professor, but the professor's underneath the bed drinking tea, and all that whole situation and the dialogue and everything that like the way it was set up from the opening scene where we see that the sheriff is used to dismissing her and kind of think like, so that was all very purposeful and very like contrived throughout the movie, and it worked for the very end of the movie and them giving the money to her. So I thought that aspect was handled really well, and it was, to me, easily the funniest parts of the movie was George Wallace just rolling his eyes and being like, this woman's fucking crazy, and she's telling him the truth about things.
That was done really well. You're right. That's a good example of the opposite of precision from the other one. But there's also the fact that when she busts them, because again, J.K. Simmons is terrible with explosives, even though it's his specialty. Whatever. Well, yeah.
Is it though? I thought like animal handling on movie sets was. What's this?
Obviously, he's not very special at the things he's special at.
They do say at the beginning when he's introduced by Tom Hanks, he's like, yes, he's not a master of none, but a jack of many trades, master of none. And he sells her by trying to first tell her a lie about how the money showed up, and then he just tells her the truth, and actually, the explanation he gives her, I'm like, it's not bad. Actually makes total sense, and I really nobody gets hurt. I'm kind of cool with it. He would have sold me fairly well, because like, what do I care? But I'm not this character either, so I will give the credit for in the end that she would just not stand for it, because that's what her character would do. So kudos to you guys on making sure that character followed through on their motivations. But I can see myself saying like, all right, that's cool. You guys just leave, and I'll just move on with my life.
Just a penny from everybody.
Exactly. Just a fucking penny.
Ortho, or whatever the fuck.
Othar.
Lothar. I'll make all
Lothar
of the hill people.
By the way, the trailer for this movie says, from the creators of Fargo. And, oh brother, where art thou?
Shock.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I would expect that.
All right, a couple more minutes. Any other highlights or lowlights that we did not get to on this film that we need to bash or give credit to?
Mountain Girl. We didn't talk Mountain Girl.
Hey,
irritable bowel singles weekend.
That was funny, I guess.
Yeah.
I will say that if you fill hefty bags with earth, you will not easily haul them up the stairs over your shoulder. I don't care if you're Lump or Superman. Like watching them like just toss these huge hefty bags of earth around. I'm like, my God, that would be so heavy. That was funny. There is a line towards the end of the movie, which is the comedy must end. What's like? Did it start?
Oh, damn.
Yeah, well, I mean, the last three deaths in a row are so fluky. I mean, just fucking Final Destination all of a sudden, like, come on, man.
Yep.
Too fast. The movie, dude.
And Lump totally on board with killing the woman for the whole thing, and then the very last second, nope, I'm gonna pull a gun on you because it serves the plot. And then accidentally shoot myself in the head. Like, all right, that's convenient.
Yeah, this movie falls way off after they rob the vault and they get busted. The last part of this movie is like, what the fuck, man? That's how I really feel about it now. And I wasn't sure how I felt about it back then. And now I'm just like, this is stupid. And you're just finishing this movie up so like everyone's dead now and it can all be a victory for her in some strange way.
Yeah, that's the worst part for me. Like as we wind down, like my problem with the film is it's just not clever. And like to think of a Coen Brothers movie that's not clever is almost impossible, because they do things in movies that you will never see anyone else make or even think of, and they put it on film and film it so exquisitely. And there's just nothing in here that I could not see from a Barry Sonnenfeld.
That's
or
a great
from
point.
like a Gary Dauberman or any other of these standard issue comic movie directors.
That's great. I mean, there's zero surprises in this movie. Zero. I mean, the movie plays out exactly like you expect it to from the start, really. The only thing that maybe would be a surprise would be the cops giving her the money at the end. But like, other than that, like you know, she's going to live. All of them are going to die by their own, through their own actions, basically. Like was not, I mean, to me, not a surprise.
Yeah. And it makes it seem just like a self-serving effort. And this is what they were getting accused of in the early 2000s, is just steering away from like these really interesting movies to just this shit that would make them laugh on the set. And this is like a prime example of that. It's just like a first draft script filmed for really no reason. They didn't need to make this picture. They were coasting along on their own success, and they bring this out, and it's just like, okay, well, probably shouldn't have done
that. Probably should have done that.
Whoopsie.
Okay, well, why don't we give our final verdict here, and does it hold up or not? Travis, you want to go first this week?
Sure. Yeah, so this movie, I didn't care for it when it came out. I didn't care for it the other night. There's been, just as the movie has no real change in any of its characters, there's no arc to any of these people. There was no arc to how I felt about this film. This movie to me sticks out like a sore thumb in the Coen brothers filmography as being, yeah, it feels a little, I mean, like, now Tom Hanks is doing work, don't get me wrong, and Roger Deakins is bringing it. Like there is, I'm not saying that this is like a sloppy movie or anything, but by the standards of the Coen brothers, it does kind of feel like something they slapped together in a weekend or something. Like it just doesn't have the same authority, the same intentionality that a lot of their other films seem to have. It does, and when I learned after watching it the other night that it was intended for a different director, and I was like, well, maybe that does kind of explain something. They were going to happily just kind of throw their names on the script and take in some extra cash just for rewriting a film that already existed, but like at the same time, nothing they do to me ever feels like a cash grab. So I mean, I don't think that that's what motivated them. I'm not trying to say that, but yeah, to me, this movie kind of mystifies me. And you hit the nail on the head, Eric. Like, why did they feel compelled to make this rather than just letting it slip through the cracks of Hollywood, which happens all the time? You spend a few years on a project, it doesn't pan out. I mean, it's easy for me to say, I've never done that, but it's still I struggle to see where this would be like a personal project from their heart or something that they felt they had to get made. So yeah, for me, it never did hold up. It's not for me.
Not for you, O Tsar of the Hill People. So I chose this movie because I thought I really enjoyed it back in the day. I remember having a lot of laughs, really enjoyed the banter from the entire team. This time around, it's like it's not really banter. It's just a lot of bickering and arguing constantly with Tom Hanks in the middle trying to bring reason to everything. And, he actually... yeah, he's doing the Miles Dyson a lot in this movie.
Foghorn Dyson.
Foghorn Dyson. And there's a time where I enjoyed it. But this watch, I guess I just become less interested. I already didn't like the heavy religious Christian tones in this movie, whatever version it is. So that kind of bogs me down. But I know they're also setting the tone. They're trying to lay out a setting of a time and place. I've never actually been to Mississippi in my life. I truly have not. So I don't know. I mean, if this is an accurate example of a town in Mississippi somewhere, I guess it's possible. But it's a sleepy town, as they say. And there's cobwebs on the jail key. Nothing ever happens here. They show you right at the beginning of the movie, like, hey, these guys asleep all day as policemen, and they just get annoyed by old people and churchgoers, and they're trying to make the best of the life they have around here. There's a Costco, apparently, because Some kid bought a sweet sound system at the Costco that annoys old Mavis. But I used to love the casino interactions. I thought the highlights for me were the actual scenes at the casino between these coworkers. But they're making fun of this guy who's huge. He's a gigantic man with a mess of food. He's clearly eating a bit too much. And they're trying to make jokes out of it. And now it just doesn't seem as funny to me. I used to laugh more at that. That one coworker, he just shows up for that one scene. He's like, God damn! He's like, it's funny the way he says it back in the day, but now I watch it, I'm just gotta rip it on this guy because it's not cool anymore. So I lost interest in that part of it, and it's kind of a bland watch this time. So I don't think this movie holds up, but I thought it did once upon a time. But that's why we do this show. You learn. You're like, well. It doesn't have the same cachet. It doesn't bring the same feelings. It doesn't hit you the same way. That doesn't hit me the same way at all. So this movie does not hold up.
Yeah, I think we've said it all. I mean, we give credit where credit's due. Everyone's trying. And like Tom Hanks delivers these like beautiful soliloquies, you know, his Poe verse and all that is quite well done. And it's good to see him trying to be funny again. And it is nice to see like the actors having fun and being excited about the material that they're working on. And if this came out of nowhere and it was like a director that never made a film again because the studio thought this was a piece of shit and they tossed him out of Hollywood, part of me might be like, hey, I got a few laughs out of that and you got good performances and Christ, it looked beautiful. I'd give it the pass. But it's haunted by this name, this legendary name, two names. And it was actually the first time they were able to put both of their names as directors because finally the Directors Guild was like, okay, it was some sort of provenance thing where you had to reach some certain status before they would let you put like, co-direct. And it's like, are you fucking serious? Yeah. And yeah, is it a little bit of a blight on an otherwise untarnished career? Sure. But I did have a few laughs. But it doesn't make for a fantastic picture. You won't be bored, but you could be very disappointed even in 2022. It doesn't hold up, sadly.
There it is. Well, hey, that's how it goes. Sometimes you eat the bar, and sometimes the bar eats you.
That's right. Hey, Dan.
Hey, boys. What's up, Danny? Woohoo! Good to see you, buddy. You can always catch our shows. If you don't catch them live, you can watch them anytime on our YouTube channel, Dan.
That's right.
You know it'll be here for you at your pleasure.
Right.
Or come and check us out on Thursdays. It's around 7:15 or so Eastern.
Oh, yeah. You could do that, too.
Live,
yeah, if you want to interact with us, that's wonderful. We do like that. Appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Travis, it's back to you at the top of the board.
Right.
We're a few episodes away from 100. One more rotation, and
boy.
then we're going to be cracking 100 with Podcasting After Dark. So give it to us.
All right. Well, I've made my decision a little while ago, and I'm going to do a movie. On one hand, it's a bit of a cheat because I feel like I probably still really like this movie, and I bet you guys do too. On the other hand, it's kind of, again, like what this podcast is about, taking a film that we loved at one point and haven't seen in a long time. You guys may have watched it more recently than me, but I'm thinking about it. It's been at least a decade since I've seen it. So that's a long time. But this is a movie that we have talked about doing, I think, since our first or second episode. I figure we should get broiling, roasting. Yes.
Oh boy.
Yes,
Sexy Beast.
Sexy Beast 2001.
Yeah.
Sexy Beast. We are doing it.
Hell
Finally, gonna check out this classic among our friends group. We're going to revisit that next episode.
Broiling.
Roasted.
All right. We'll be there at Grove now.
We'll be there Friday. Well, Thursday. Yep. You'll be there.
Thursday.
Friday. You'll be there. Tell Ted you're doing it.
Yeah, get ready.
Don't show me up now.
Shit.
Tell Ted you're doing it. Don't show him up, okay?
No.
Yep.
No.
Don't show me up. Do not show me up. I'll tell you that right now.
Are you swearing? I'm not swearing.
Fuck Jackie.
See? It's like I just opened Pandora's box.
You did.
I'm
pumped, dude. It's been 15 years.
Yeah, it's been a while. I mean, it may have been 15 for me too. It's been a long time. So I'm happy to
really
make this call.
I watch this movie a lot, so
I knew you did.
Let's do it. It's going to be a lot of fun next week. Sexy Beast. Man, I love talking about this movie. It's always fun.
No.
There it is.
Jesus.
It is.
So there's a little taste of next week. Join us for Sexy Beast live live and uncensored. That's right. We're free of FCC regulations here, if that matters to you
right.
in any way. I don't know if it does or not. But until then, I'm Michael Govier. He's Travis Roy. It's Eric Bransham. Thank you for joining the Cinema 9 podcast. We'll see you.
You fart.